What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Team Solemn Circus live video. On the left side here, we have Ryzeal Fiendsmith going up against Crystron on the right side here. This is going to be two meta decks going up against each other here. We're going to be seeing a die roll with Ryzeal end up winning the die roll here. I am playing on the right side. It is my second time playing Crystron. We did upgrade the deck into the list that you guys have seen posted yesterday. The POVs are not updated for that list. They'll be the weeks prior. So we are going to be seeing that if you guys want to check this out. This is not going on the POV as well. I did not put this on the camera. For the POV one here, we are going to be seeing a normal amount of Lacrima dumping the engraver from the Fiendsmith Ryzeal. Now, we don't exactly know what we're playing against at this time, which is fine because, we don't really want to stop any of these anyways. Ashing the Requiem can definitely be nice. But we already would have put the Lacrima as well as the Requiem in the graveyard, which means that they already have the setup during the next turn for the trap. So here we're going to summon out an engraver there. You wouldn't really want to waste a hand trap on this anyways. And we're going to put engraver on engraver, putting back the Requiem, and then we're going to go up into the Caesar now. And Caesar is a really good card against the Crystron deck because a lot of the cards do activate special summon out. Now we are playing the Cashier cards as you guys are going to be seeing now by placing the activation of Planet Ryzeal, switching for a Fenrir, and this itself kind of beats the whole board. You can beat Caesar quite easily with this, especially when you have like droplets in your deck as well, which I think is definitely mandatory if you are playing the Crystron. You have like the white and the purple being in the graveyard, and also being able to discard any of your level 5s. They can activate in the graveyard as well, which is important. So it's quite nice to see that. We are going to be seeing now the droplets come in clutch there, sending the Fenrir to the graveyard, which allows us to summon out the unicorn that we end up searching off the Fenrir. Essentially just getting a free send off this. Now we do lose a card, but essentially we're just removing the problems on the board. We then get to see the Birth being searched off the unicorn, and then Birth can be bringing out the Fenrir as well here, which is pretty nice. So we're going to be activating the Birth, bringing back out that Fenrir. And we have options now if we want to go overlay up into the Draco Sack or whatever. Yeah, the Draco Sack, detach it and make tokens if you want to have to send the Smiger to the graveyard. But I don't believe we do in this case, so we're going to kind of just play this way. And we don't know exactly what we're playing against at this point, so we want to kind of play it safe. If we're playing against Cashier Fiendsmith, we'd actually rather leave the Cashier monsters on the field to kind of deal with that than just go up into anything else. And so at this point, our opponent doesn't know what we're playing either. All they see is Cash Guards, which is pretty nice for them as well. So we are kind of going to be playing a bit of a slower game in this day because we want to make sure that we know as much as we can about each other's decks, but also like without revealing too much. If you can't go full combo here, but we actually just normal summon up the Smiger, Lingering in the Clock Knight, and essentially just say like, okay, we're going to start trying to play the Crystron combo. This is going to give us access to full Crystron combo by banishing the Smiger. They do have an Ash Blossom to this, and then essentially they just lose their extra deck as well as the face down card. But yeah, so we are going to be able to look at their extra deck here now, knowing exactly what they are playing, which is absolutely huge. So the other cards in their hand must be semi-decent in this case. But they can't be Ryzeal cards, because at this point I do discover they are playing Ryzeal stuff, and I'm debating like, okay, what do I want to hit? I can hit either Duo Drive in this case, because they only play one Duo Drive, or I can hit a Sequence. I opt to choose to hit the Sequence because they have the Fiendsmith stuff already in rotation. And hitting the Sequence makes it so that it's going to be extremely hard for them to kind of continue playing, especially with having the Lacrima and two engravers in the graveyard. They're actually never going to be able to activate the effect of the track to fusion summon. So now they can't go up into their fusion monster, which is pretty nice. Other than if they want to like send it and like put it in a spell and trap card zone, but they can't really do that there. They do go before we enter battle phase a Bestial, banishing the engraver there. I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the correct play. We didn't really know if they had that, but it's going to prevent them from taking any damage. So now we have the option of like linking away into SP or whatever, or we can just pass turn on this, which I opt to do here because I feel like it's a lot better. We just set one card and we just pass turn on that, leaving it this kind of end board. So the reason why we did this is not only does it kind of like make our opponent want to attack into that Clockwork Knight, but if they don't leave the Clockwork Knight on the field, then we can go into SP later. I already have used a Birth effect to bring back out, and having the Unicorn and the Fenrir on the field can be quite nice, especially when we're going to be ripping their extra deck. So here we see a track going to be activated, and then they do send a Lurie, and they go Chain Link one Lurie, and then we do have Birth, so we can banish all three face down, and they're essentially not going to have any access to any of that as well. So we're kind of playing cash control at this point, playing it very slow, and this deck can kind of do that. We don't really necessarily have to. Now we're seeing the Engraver activate once again, and this is going to search for either the track or the trap. And none of them is really going to be good in this case. So we're going to see them search for the track. And then we do activate the effect of the Unicorn as well as the Fenrir, banishing the guy face down. And then also the Duo Drive in case they want to start going up for any of those Ryzeal cards, they're going to have to go for a detonator now, and Duel Drive's not going to let them add numerous stuff. So we are going to be seeing them scoop it up there, realizing the game is going to be kind of lost, and Crystron, or I guess Cashier Control, ends up taking game 1. Cashier is actually really good into the Fiendsmith stuff as long as the Cashier stuff are already on the field. In this case, they didn't have the optimal board of, having the Desiree and stuff like that on the field. Now, Caesar is decent. It's just not the best against Cash stuff. Being able to banish his face down and things like that, which kind of like remove the Link monsters, making them able to play. Like if you take away their fusion, it does not matter what Link monsters they end up going for. So like depending on kind of what you want to go for, if you do remove the fusion immediately, you actually do cut off a lot more lines. So I don't think that sequence was definitely the correct line there. I think that I should have actually ripped the Desiree. Therefore, the trap is no longer alive as well. That definitely looking back is a better of a play. I don't think they can put back the face down card anyways here. So it definitely is a bit of a live and learn experience. I would always rip the fusion because then the trap is dead and they can't shuffle back. They go for a sequence. What's that going to do? It's just a Link too. They might as well go for SP at that point, or even a Moon. It does not really matter if they have no sequence. It does not make a difference here. But we are going to now go into game 2, and now our opponent does know what they're playing, and we know exactly their whole extra deck, which means we have a better chance in Crystron's side over here. And now, Crystron is a new deck, and it's definitely I think it's a meta deck myself, but I can understand how it's a rogue meta deck. Like, it's a very low-powered Tier 1 deck, probably the worst of the Tier 1s, or, the rogue decks, whatever you want. One of the better rogue decks for sure. And actually, the thing that I was talking about at Locals today is that Crystron is in a really bad position right now for the release, because we have Lancia and the Dweller in the format. So kind of everyone's playing Lancia in the side deck for Malice, which is going to be the most powerful deck of the format. And then, of course, Ryzeal, the other most powerful deck, kind of has the Dweller that they can just make at any point in time. So it is definitely a hard format for Crystron. But the actually really cool thing about Crystron is that it was released, and it's never going to be a bad deck. Like, if you look at the whole entire deck, none of these cards are actually necessarily broken. Now, obviously, I'm playing the Fenrir stuff and the bigger Cashier package, so I'm going to be having some of the better cards in it that are going to be able to be pushed and potentially even get hits. But if they do hit the Cashier stuff, I can just switch out into the Speedroid engine or whatever else, the Adventure engine, whatever really you want to play. And it is a very versatile. They're never going to hit any of the monsters other than maybe Cyber Dragon Infinity. And at that point, what are we doing? We're hitting Cyber Dragon cards. So it's definitely a cool rogue deck to pick up for the future. It's going to be for a really good deck for a really long time because it has the ability to dodge every one of those hand traps. Now we are going to be seeing the Fiendsmith package, of course, being summoned once again. Normal summon of Lacrima, opening it once again is definitely the suckiest part. Then we're going to go for a track, and then going for an engraver. And we do end up bestowing the engraver there, which tries to bring itself back out and making sure they do not have access to a sequence. But they did normal summon Ice, now getting the sword, and they're going to be able to continue on playing this, searching for the X tier. And we now have access to the Ryzeal as well as the Fiendsmith stuff. So we are going to be opting now to overlay into a dual drive, I believe. And this is going to allow us to search for 2. And we do attempt to activate Imperm, but we cannot Imperm because we have Druisworm on the field, and therefore it gets put back into the hand. Definitely make sure you do not activate Druisworm while you have cards on the, or activate Imperm while you have cards on the field. It definitely is a little bit of an unfortunate card to have in your hand, but we have Droplets, which is not going to make that much of a difference when we can pitch it later or just setting it. So a little bit of a misplay on our part. We're going to see them search for Node and Cross. We're then going to be seeing X send the Eclipse Twin, and then Cross being activated there. Now, they're not going to be able to attach into the Duo Drive. Now, I think definitely this was a little bit of a misplay. We could have gone for a Twin over the Duo Drive, and then send the Detonator, because Detonators actually, or send the Aggravator, because Aggravator is really good into the Crystron board. It actually deals with the level 2 Tristalos immediately, and the spell card itself, the Searcher, gets hurt a lot by Detonator because it doesn't get the search effect and you just pop it on summon. So that definitely is a little bit of a rough one. But we're going to be seeing them go up now into the Detonator here. And then Detonator is going to attach the Eclipse Twin. And then we're going to go up into a copy of the Abyss Dweller. Now we can put back the sword as well as the Duo Drive with the Cross. And what's really good about this is that we actually get to put back the Duo Drive, but unfortunately now we don't have another Expedite in the graveyard if we do have to pop the Detonator to kind of equip itself. So we have to find a way to get the Dweller to the graveyard as well. But I don't think it's going to matter here because we don't have that good of a hand. So we're going to be seeing in the draw phase a Dweller detaching the Lacrima, so we have the Lacrima effect as well, being able to send the trap now, and we're going to be pretty much in full combo now, especially with that Dweller. Now we do activate the inclusion here, and this is when they do chain the detonator, just essentially removing it out of the field immediately, getting us to kind of lose access to it altogether. We have no Crystron cards in the graveyard either, so it's not going to make any difference here at all. And we don't necessarily have a way to kind of get anything in the graveyard, as well as, like, you know, Abyss Dweller stopping it in the grave too, so that kind of sucks. Then we do activate another Druid's Worm, trying to banish the Engraver, or banish the Lacrima. They do chain the Lacrima, summon out the Requiem, and we're just pressing buttons at this point. Like, there's no way Crystron's going to be able to win, so I want to kind of see their experience with the deck. So I do try to hit that copy of the Lacrima, hoping that they just let it resolve. They're going to lose a lot of their engine, so I know I'm not really winning this turn. I want to see how much I can go if I, like, crash the crash into the either the detonator or the Abyss Dweller. I can maybe survive another turn and play through my combo that way. But I just scoop it up there. They also put double Veiler and Ash in the hand, so, like, we were not winning that at all. So we see the best deck of the format, Ryzeal Fiendsmith, and that's taking game 2. Move on to game 3 here, with Crystron having the advantage, being able to choose to go first or second. Now, there is some times where you actually do want to go second with the Crystron deck. The issue is that you can't do anything against a Detonator. So Detonator is one of the worst cards to play against. Like, obviously, the Ryzeal matchup is really hard for you in this deck because you do have so many cards that, like, do trade horribly into Detonator. You have the Inclusion as well as Clutter. You know, if you set up Clutter, it doesn't do too much. Or you have Clutter, you want to set it, you activate the effect, they have a Detonator still in the field, they attach it, blow it up. You essentially do nothing. So it definitely is a little bit hard for us to kind of, like, play into a board. So we're forced to go first here, which means that you have to, like, take out your droplets and stuff like that, take out all your Fool Roses and your Mulcharmies, whatever cards you want to play. You know, if you're either playing the Pirellias or you're playing the Meowwolves, you have to take those out, and you have to play, like, the Cashier cards once again, and of course the Spiritual Owl, the hand rip one, or you can play, like, Judgment or Strike if you want to, depending on how the format kind of shapes up. That's what you want to play, but you always want to have one siding card. But the deck does have a lot of advantages going second, being able to dodge so many of those hand traps, and a lot of times our opponent's going to be expecting you to want to make a going first board. You know, you want to go first, end up on a, you know, an FA, an Infinity, and then, like, insane follow-up and a pop. But the thing is, going second, you actually have the ability to OTK extremely easy. With the Speedroid Chambara as well as a Banish 3, you know, you're setting up a pretty decent board, and having, like, the cash cards to kind of, like, lean back on and droplets is quite nice as well. And you still have a high hand trap count. So moving on to game 3, we are going to be forced to kind of go first here in this build, which you do summon with the Fenrir, which is going to be a pretty good interruption card. And we do activate the effect, but this does lean us very good into Droll and Lockbird here, if they did have it. So we're going to be searching for a Unicorn, and there's not much that we kind of do if we don't have any access to the Cashier cards. Now we have a Birth, which means we can normal summon out the Unicorn here and overlay immediately into a Dracosack. Now Dracosack can activate the effect to let us summon out 2 tokens, and they do opt to Veiler this, which means that we now have no access to the Crystron engine, as we don't have the ability to make Cherubini to send the Smiger to the graveyard here, so we just summon out the Unicorn off of the Birth and pass turn. Now we are going to be seeing a track. We're going to be summoning out now, adding the Lacrima or Engraver to the hand, and we're going to be seeing the Lurie being sent from our hand. We do activate the effect, and I do think about chaining Birth to this, and we do, but they chain a Druid Worm on that, banishing the Veiler here. Doesn't really matter which one they do hit. We try to banish all 3. They're just going to summon with the body on the field. We have no darks in the graveyard, so they're just going to have the ability to get that Druid Storm onto the field. Now, we do rip their extra deck there, and now, if they did add the Lacrima to the hand, we probably should have hit the copy of the Chaos Angel, because we don't want to have to deal with a Light and Dark Chaos Angel, but it looks like here they did add the Engraver as they activate that as the next action. So hitting the sequence once again, probably the wrong play. We should have hit the Fusion, but we chose to hit that because at the time I thought that was the best hit. Definitely looking back, you know, hindsight's 2020. It's not the greatest. We're going to be starting to hit the Fusion now, Desiree, anytime. Now they do start with a Sword now being normal summoned, activating the effect, and we do think about stopping this because we don't want to have any access to any more of the Ryzeal cards. But chance of them having other Ryzeal cards can be pretty high. We do Ash it here. we do have the imperm set as well, so if they do try to continue on playing, we are going to be able to stop it. It's just kind of difficult to continue this when like we're going to be passing turn at this point. At some point, they can't OTK us. Therefore, trying to do with a detonator is not going to be nice, especially when you have like the Cross and the Ryzeal duo drive searching for stuff. You have Infinity kind of follow up. It's not going to look that too good for us. So we do go now into a Moon, which is going to be the now access to the Fiendsmith line. So trying to end on a Caesar at this point because we don't have anything else to kind of beat. We don't have any sequence to make the Desiree, so we have to kind of now pivot into a Caesar line. So we did successfully stop that Fiendsmith and the Ryzeal part of the deck to kind of go off, which is pretty nice. You know, dealing with the Caesar while we control an Imperm is very nice. So we're going to be seeing the Lacrima being made, and then we're thinking about imperming this so that we stop the trap being sent so they have no follow-up. But this is, once again, something I mentioned earlier. Like, if we would have hit the correct one, which is the Desiree, we wouldn't have to worry about imperming this at all. So going forward, you know, we have learned a better combo when we are playing the Unicorn or the like an extra deck rip. Just helps out quite a bit. You know, knowledge is power in this game, and we definitely have learned. So we're going to be seeing Engraver end up putting back the Moon here to summon itself out because we want to leave the extra Requiem and the Engraver in the graveyard so that we can actually activate the effect of Desiree, shuffling one back. And we want to leave the Desiree as well as the Lacrima because we are going to be going up into a Princess here, and that's going to let us go into the Moon, or going up into the Caesar. So we do see this attached to the Lacrima. They are thinking on this if they want to use the Engraver effect to send, but that's just going to be dealing some extra damage and not giving them access now anymore to a end board. So they have two options here, going for a Chaos Angel or going up into the Caesar. Now we do opt for a Caesar there. Going to go Battle Phase, beat over. We take 300 damage, and then he's going to pass turn on this. So now we have Birth, which is going to be trading one with the Caesar, and we also have a normal summon of Tristalos, one of the better normal summons for our deck, because you're able to activate the effect, especially into an established board like this. So we see one card left in the hand, which we do know is Track. We go normal summon the Tristalos, activate Birth, trying to Reborn out. They do chain the Caesar. We go chain Tristalos, they chain the Caesar once again, and we take a second to read that to see that it's legal, and it is legal. So we in case chain, or now we chain the Imperm, essentially stopping the Caesar, and it's going to allow us to kind of just OTK. Honestly, the game's going to be over at this point. We should be able to OTK completely with this deck. We have now full combo. We're going to go for the Sulfonier, then we're going to go up now into the Escaletus. Escaletus will allow us to add back the level 5 in the graveyard because we want to leave the level 2 in the graveyard. We also get to summon back with the Fenrir, and then Fenrir can then search, and we're essentially going to be full comboing. You know, it's not going to have any problem dealing with that Fenrir, especially when they have, you know, just the Lacrima in the graveyard to put back. We can banish it, and they have the Track in the hand. So we're going to go to banish the Tristalos, summoning out 2 from the deck by destroying the Escaletus. We're going to summon out the Sulfonier as well as the Sulfador. Then we're going to be seeing the Sulfadier going to be dumping, as well as the Escaletus going to be summoning back out the Tristalos. And we're going to dump the Smyger as well as the Thyvern. Thyvern and Smyger will both be able to banish themselves to be able to search for the spell and the monster respectively. We do go up for an Infinity first. Infinity has the ability to also suck that Caesar. So now we're just going to be able to attach more stuff there, leaving it so that we're just going to be banishing that Requiem, or in this case, the Lacrima. We're going to leave the Requiem's effect activating someone to Lacrima and then banishing that there altogether. So we then see the Thyvern going to be banished to let us searching for the Sulfador, and then we're going to be searching for the spell. So now we have both level 5s in the hand, and then we're going to see the spell going to be searching for the trap there. So if we do go to a follow-up turn, we are going to be able to pop numerous stuff. We're going to go for Sulfador now, destroying that inclusion, which is going to be acting as a monster reborn. And we're just going to essentially just pop off Synchro Summoning to whatever we want to here. It's not going to be that much of a difference. We also have an Omni-8 on the field and a Fenrir, so we're going to be pretty chilling. We're going to a Samurai Destroyer at this point, and now all we're doing is summoning big bodies to deal some heavy damage. There's not really much that we want to have to do. So we do some calculations here, and it's like 26 plus 24 plus 29, alongside the graveyard being able to bring back out. So we do go Escaletos to bring out the copy of the, the inclusion, bring out the Escalos, and they just admit defeat here with the Crystron, end up taking the game in Game 3 with those hand traps there. Hope you guys are watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, stay safe.